Good morning, everybody. Everybody had a good time last night, whether it was skating or at the aquarium or at campfire? Good, good. I actually am now losing my voice from singing so loud at the campfire, but it was really awesome and it was great to see so much energy there. And for those of you that were out there, wasn't the view spectacular coming back to the city from the island? All right, so we're happy to be with you here this morning to talk a little bit about our strategic plan and why it's so important. We were talking yesterday with Pinball about the importance of having that shared vision so we can all work together and not just be the biggest, but we can truly be the best. And we've done an awful lot of work, as a number of us in this room know, over the last number of years to make scouting more vibrant, to build, as I've sort of said, a bit the building blocks, to put the foundation in place to make scouting bigger and more vibrant than it's ever been before. And you can see up here on the slide a number of examples of things we've done, whether it's the new Scouter Welcome Kit to the Thanks program, where now we're recognizing 10 times more people than we were before. Really an important achievement. We've done some tremendous work with the Canadian Path, and I'm so excited that you're going to get an opportunity today to play in the jungle. It's come a long way, and Doug and team, Doug's going to be wearing his monkey hat, I'm sure, because if he's not, you now all know to expect him to be wearing his monkey hat. But we're going to have a lot of fun in the jungle. This program is going to be amazing, and I'm so excited for you to get an opportunity to really learn by doing a bit more about program revitalization today. We're all sporting new uniforms, which was a great piece of work to make us more vibrant, make us more, Canadian. And it's amazing to see that. We've done a lot of work in terms of, tools to grow our movement, in terms of recruitment tools, in terms of material we can share with parents, with youth. And, I'm tremendously proud of the work we've done to involve more young people in an organization that's all about youth leadership. We have more young people involved at all levels of this movement, truly demonstrating leadership. And I shared with our youth spokespeople yesterday how tremendously proud it made me last year on Scout Day on the Hill, where I sat in those meetings with those members of parliament, with the leaders of multiple parties across Canada. And you know what? I didn't have to open my mouth. I sat there and I remember saying to Bob Ray after our meeting with him, isn't it tremendous that these young people are so eloquent, are so able to communicate with conviction what it is we're all about, that I literally faded into the background. And it's just absolutely tremendous, and it's a testament to the power of scouting. So really proud of all the things we've done together over the last number of years, and really looking forward to working with you and supporting the team here as we move forward to be bigger and more vibrant than ever before in the next 3 to 5 years. Jay?
Great, thanks, Andrew. We got to get the clicker to work here. There we go. So for those I haven't met before, my name's Jay. I sit on the board. I'm the Vice Chair Strategic. I've had the pleasure of working with a great group of people as we've developed this next strategic plan for the next 3 years of Scouts Canada. What I actually want to do is talk to you a bit about the process and what we did. So the first thing we did was formed a team. We formed a really great diverse team of people across the country. We tried to be as diverse as possible. We had people from as far west as British Columbia, as far east as Newfoundland and Labrador. We had guys, we had girls, we had young, we had older, we had staff, we had volunteers, we had NLT, we had NST, we had board members, and all in 8 people. We were able to cover all those things. And about a year ago, we agreed a couple of key tenets of the plan. One of those things is that we believe that less is more. We have come through a point in the organization, as Andrew talked about, where we have done so much in an incredibly short period of time and have seen amazing outcomes as a result of that. The organization grew for 4 years in a row after having not done that for decades. That was through a tremendous amount of heavy lifting by a lot of people in this room and around the country. So the first tenet of the plan was that less is more. We believe that this is a time where we need to focus on a fewer number of things and do them incredibly well. The second thing we agreed as a team is that it was going to be, as much as we felt great about the 8 people we had assembled in a room, we felt it was going to be really important that we consult with as many people as possible in order to build this plan. So what that meant is we've actually been working on this for just over a year. So this started in about December of 2012. So we've actually been working on this for just over a year. The reality is that there hasn't really been a year of work in this. What it's been is taking every opportunity we could to get out to as many people as we could and share the story, share how we're thinking, early stages, middle stages, late stages, get input, answer questions in as many forums as we can. That included jumping on calls with our national service team early in the process to make sure that they felt good about how we were looking at the situation, getting out to as many councils as possible. So we had our key three out to a ton of councils over the course of the year to have a bunch of different conversations, taking the opportunity even at events like our AGM in Calgary as we were putting the finishing touches on the plan to get out and talk to people about it, really taking as much opportunity as possible to engage as many people as we could. And I'm proud to say that we ended up having the conversation with hundreds and hundreds of people across the country, and it's really helped us to form a better plan. The plan itself actually started with figuring out how we view the situation right now. What's our world right now look like in Scouts Canada and outside of Scouts Canada in Canadian society? Albert Einstein said that if I had an hour to solve a problem, I would spend 55 minutes understanding it and then 5 minutes solving it. And so we really thought it was important to take the time to understand the mindset of Canadians right now. We did a traditional SWOT, which I'm not going to put on the screen because that's kind of boring, but we basically identified 6 key elements that inform the plan. There was a whole bunch more. I'll share as much as people want afterwards if you want to reach out to me, but these are the 6 real key elements that we came up with that helped us form the plan. 3 of them are headwinds, meaning they're kind of hurting the organization or they're standing in our way. 3 of them are tailwinds, meaning they're helping the organization and helping us to move further. I'll go through the 3 headwinds first. The first one I'd like to talk about is the state of our program right now. And many of you that have been involved in either program revitalization because you're on the team or because you've been part of the journey as it's been developed, we've realized that we've built a program that is more geared to young people than it is to adolescents. The reality is you can start at Beavers and end at Rovers, and our membership actually declines with every section you go to. And despite the fact that we have a program that was originally developed over 100 years ago for adolescents, we've actually built a program that's more geared towards young children. And we believe that that's had a profound impact on our ability to be relevant and exciting for adolescents. Second one is we have a very leaky bucket. So roughly smoothly, we have about 100,000 members. Sometimes it's a little bit more, sometimes it's a little bit less. Let's call it 100,000 members. The reality is we actually attract 30,000 new members every year. That's 30% growth. It is a massive number of people that come to our organization for the first time. The unfortunate thing is we also lose roughly 30,000 members every year. So what that means is we're actually doing an incredible job filling our bucket. People that have never been a part of our organization before joining it for the very first time. But just as many people that join us leave. And we've done some work looking into churn and loyalty and all those things that private organizations use to think about it. And it's really, really unhealthy when you think about that. And when you think about our opportunity is actually not in attracting new members. We could grow our organization by 30% in a year if nobody left. The real opportunity is in keeping the members we have. And that's a problem that faces a lot of organizations. Next one, which I'm sure will appeal to a lot of people in this room, our members, our adult members, our staff and volunteers across the country feel overburdened with administration. So many people become a part of this organization because they want to help and they want to achieve our mission of helping to develop well-rounded youth better prepared for success in the world. But the reality is there's so much administration and paperwork that our volunteers and our staff often feel so overburdened with that they don't feel like they can spend as much time as they want to helping us to achieve our mission. So those are what we viewed as the 3 key headwinds that are facing us as we think about this next 3 years. In terms of tailwinds and the things that help us, it's actually pretty interesting when you look at it. Canada is growing at an incredible rate. It's expected that Canada over the next 10 years is going to grow over 16% in population. 16% in 10 years is a massive number. And the group that's growing the most is young people. Young people actually represent 24% growth over the next 10 years. So we have a huge opportunity, and just our universe of people that have the decision set as to whether they want to be a part of Scouts Canada or not is going to continue to grow. There will be more and more people that are going to have the opportunity to make a decision as to whether they want to be with this movement or not, which presents us with a huge opportunity. We did a bunch of research. We did a bunch of research in sport. If you consider sport to be one of our main competitors, when you think about when you're competing for the young person's time, there has been a huge changing of tides in sport in this country. There's been a couple key things that have changed. One is 30 years ago, the way sport existed in this country is that you had a tremendous amount of house league sport and a very small amount of rep or elite level sport. Those two things have actually flipped over the last 30 years. There are much more elite level sport opportunity for young people, and there is much less house league level sport. So what that means is, in sport, they are starting to identify elite athletes at a much younger age. The best example of that we could find is golf. So the Callaway Golf World Championships were just expanded 3 years ago to start at age 2. So elite level golfers are now starting to be identified at age 2, which is actually even earlier than hockey in this country. People are thinking at an earlier age about how they can be a part of elite level sport. They're being analyzed and identified by coaches and pushed by their parents. That has fundamentally changed. So the reality is that if you're a young person, by about the age of 9, if you haven't found the sport you want and you're not already playing it, you are going to have a really hard time. It's hard to be 11 years old and find pickup basketball. It's hard to be 12 years old and find pickup hockey, because the reality is that so much effort has been put into identifying elite level athletes that we've forgotten about the opportunity for what's called house leagues. The kids that just want to go out and play. The second thing that has changed in sport is Canadians' attitudes toward hockey have fundamentally changed. Hockey Canada just released a study a few months ago. They predicted over the next 10 years a 40% decline in junior hockey membership in this country. So they predict the number of hockey players in Canada, young hockey players, will go down by almost half in 10 years, which is a massive, massive issue for them that they're facing right now. There are basically 3 things that are driving that decline. They believe the 3 things that drive that decline is, 1, parents are tired of taking their children into the arena where there's a tremendous number of quote-unquote stereotypical hockey parents that create a really negative environment for their youth, and that's not an environment they're comfortable taking their children into. So that's the first one. The second one is they are sick and tired of 5 a.m. ice times. And the reality that that's not even an elite level thing anymore. Even in house leagues, there are kids that have to get up at 4 a.m. for ice time at 5, get home at 6:30, have breakfast, and be at school for 8. And there's a tremendously growing number of parents that are saying, that's not what I want for my kid. And then the third one, which I actually thought would be the most impactful, but it turns out is the least of the 3, is new Canadians. What's happening is with all the immigration in this country, new Canadians are coming to Canada, and they just don't see the cultural relevance. They just don't see why they should bother. They don't feel the generational pressure that Canadians that have been here for longer would feel to put their kids in hockey. Those 3 things are combining for the potential of a 40% decline over the next 10 years. So the way that parents are thinking differently about sport presents us with a huge opportunity. The other thing is families are also thinking about youth programming in different ways. It is much, to be simple about this, it is much cooler to care about your community now than it did 30 years ago. 30 years ago, those were the kids that got made fun of. The ones that cared about giving back to their community and philanthropic and being involved with charities and making a difference in your community. That is much, much more prevalent with young people than it was 30 years ago. You know, you look at things like what people like Craig Kielburger have been done, who's been closely associated with this organization and we have a deep amount of respect for. There's been a number of things that have caused this changing of tide in the way young people think about the ways that they can give back to their community. Some of that comes from above. Some of that comes when government or universities talk about the importance of giving back to your community as part of the admission standards to getting into the school or to being a part of a community. But the reality is that there has been a change in mindset. And then the other thing that's changed with parents is that parents are increasingly thinking about safe environments for their children. So those are what we viewed as kind of the 6 things that we think really impact the forming of this plan. So then what we did is basically broke the plan down into 3 pillars. The 3 key pillars of this plan are, number 1, youth. It has to start with the youth. When you go back to our mission, that's what we're here for. We need a program that is as relevant to youth today as it has ever been. And a lot of you have seen the exposure to that and what that means. We need staff and volunteers to then feel supported to go help us deliver these great programs for our young people. And then thirdly, we need a strong organization. We need an organization that can support our staff and volunteers who can then go deliver our mission to our youth. We need the kind of organization that can be strong and vibrant and exciting and the kind of thing that people want to be a part of. Really, the plan comes down to these 3 pillars: youth, staff and volunteers, and organizational strength. And from those 3 pillars, we then developed 7 key strategies. And so our key 3 is going to take you through what those 7 strategies are. We're going to start with program revitalization with Kaylee.
Right, so as Jay said, the first one is program revitalization, which is something really exciting that we've all been hearing a lot about. Through program revitalization, we're unifying methods, the badge series, and lessons learned from our personal journeys to create a consistent path right from Beavers all the way through to Rovers. We were finding throughout the work that the program revitalization team did that we had distinct programs in each of the sections, and you could go to Cubs, you could have somebody join in Cubs or somebody who started in Beavers and going up, and there was no difference because the programs were so different between the 2. Our youth have been asking for new meaningful experiences and things that they will not experience through school or through other activities. Through program revitalization, we'll help them get out and have these incredible scouting adventures. There's 4 big ideas to think about when you think about program revitalization. The SPICES, which is a well-rounded program. Being youth-led, which obviously is something I'm particularly passionate about. Youth involvement is extremely important, and I fundamentally believe that although I am incredibly proud of every young person in this room, needs to start at the section level. We will not be successful. Hello. Okay. We will not be successful in having real, meaningful youth involvement until every young person of every age has a meaningful say in their own program. The other 2 big ideas that we need to think about when we think program revitalization are adventure. Our programs need to be exciting. Our programs need to be something that they cannot get elsewhere. They need to be fun and they need to be big. And also the plan, do, review model, which I know you guys will be learning about in the jungle workshop later today.
Cool. So the next strategy that we've been talking about and we want to spend some time exploring is how we promote the value of scouting. And you know, the way I think about this, and it's quite intuitive when you start to think about it for a second, and this really comes from a bunch of dialogue we've had with parents, sort of asking them, you know, how is the experience from their vantage point? What do they think? And obviously we know, especially in the younger ages, parents have a huge influence on, well, actually decision-making power around whether their youth are going to continue in the movement. And when you start to think about it, one of the things parents tell us all the time is they have a really hard time sort of really seeing concretely what their youth get out of scouting. You know, and when you think about sport that Jay was talking about, you know, if your son or daughter is playing hockey and you go to that practice with them in the rink, you see them skating faster. And the result of that is they get more ice time during the game. The result of that is they have more skills. Maybe they score more goals. It's very quantifiable. You know, the other thing with music is another example. If I pursue playing violin, you know, my parents come to recitals and they see me, you know, either passing exams and playing more complex music over time. And for them, that's really concrete. And, you know, what drove it home for me, anecdotally, actually, I was walking to the train in Calgary a couple of months ago, and I was talking to a parent of a former Beaver in our group, and I was asking him, you know, why his son hadn't come back. And he said, well, you know, it was sort of twofold. He said, we've invested a lot of time and energy in his progress with his violin. And I said, well, that's interesting. And he said, yeah, we want him to keep progressing violin. And beavers just wasn't resonating with them in the same way. And so what we want to be able to do through our strategy is really take some time, and there's going to be a great workshop today talking about this, where we connect with our parents and help them to see in a little bit more bite-sized chunks what is the value of Scouts. Like when you think broadly, you know, we talk about developing well-rounded young people better prepared for success in the world. We talk about the spices. These are all things that we know, having spent a fair bit of time working with youth and supporting this, takes a little bit of time. And it isn't always obvious. And our parents aren't there every meeting to see those aha moments that their youth have, when all of a sudden the youth who used to be petrified to take a leadership role in their six or in their patrol, all of a sudden steps up and becomes the leader. And so we need to explore and spend some time figuring out how to better communicate that value to parents so that they really see not only the value for their youth, but we strongly believe that as they get more engaged with us, that they will be able to contribute much more in terms of helping to augment our program and the level of adventure in our program.
Scouter support. We have an awesome team of Scouters. We'll
I think you should try that again, Ian.
Let's try again. We have an awesome team of Scouters. Both staff and support to help us deliver on our mission. Research has showed us that the tenure of those Scouters is critical when it comes to youth having a good experience in Scouting. Gone, just like that.
When you get older, I remember that.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. It's critical. The new program revitalization is taking that Scouter role and moving it much more to a coaching, mentoring role. We need to ensure that our Scouters in those roles have everything they need to make that role come to life as youth choose their path through the adventures in Scouting. We need to ensure that everyone has a great Scouting experience as we go forward.
Yeah, and we need to make sure our Scouters and our staff are having fun, right? We all know, and our youth tell us, to be honest, that they notice when we're not having fun. So that this needs to be about us having some fun too. So I hope you guys are all having some fun this weekend with us. And you're going to take some of that energy and fun back to your groups, your areas, and your councils, and share that infection, I'll call it, that infectious passion that we all need. So one of the other strategies that we all, I'm sure we can all appreciate is, we need some dollars and cents to make these adventures happen. Adventures don't happen for free. And, we really, truly, as an organization that has a fundamental belief that every young person should have an opportunity to be with us on this adventure, that no one should be left behind. And in order to make sure that we can continue to deliver those great, safe Scouting adventures to more young people, we need to find other ways to build our organizational capacity from a resource perspective, rather than continuing to put the burden on our members through membership fees. We have a tremendous, tremendous program that we offer. We have lots of opportunity to build new partnerships, and we think we need to continue down that path. We've got a tremendous partnership right now over the last number of years with Imperial Oil on our STEM program, which is fully aligned with what we're trying to do, having young people try new things for the very first time. And we need to find more partnerships like that that allow us to give new opportunities, new experiences, new adventures to more Canadian youth.
Asset management. It's not as boring as it sounds, really, honestly. Yeah, I know, Brenda. We have dozens. In fact, we have hundreds of camps and properties across the country. Some of them can help us deliver on those adventurous programs that we wish our youth to have. Some, unfortunately, cannot. We need to think about how we move forward with those camps across the country so that we can ensure we have gems, those real gems out there where youth find memories that will last forever, the ones that they won't forget, they can't forget.
Yeah, I certainly remember some of my first experiences at Camp Ian, and certainly I'm sure all of us in this room can remember something we took from the very first time we went to camp, either with our families or with Scouts. And we need to make sure that our camps and our properties deliver tremendous value to our young people, that they support those great, safe Scouting adventures. We also obviously need to be focused on safety leadership. it's not good enough to be middle of the road. You know, Jay talked about, you know, the feeling that family has, and certainly I think it's apparent to us all that parents are taking a real keen interest in making sure that their youth are in safe situations. Back to the comment that we looked at in terms of Hockey Canada and the idea that, you know, parents are looking at the environment around sport and saying, I don't want my young person to be exposed to that negative attitude, to that basically verbal harassment at the rink. And so when I think about this from a mission perspective, and we talk about developing well-rounded young people better prepared for success in the world, it really starts there with me. How am I prepared for success in the world if I don't know how to live a safe and healthy life? And when I think about that, that's such a powerful opportunity for us, not just to be middle of the road, not just to be big but not the best, but to truly plant a flag in the ground and say we're going to truly be safety leaders because we are going to equip our youth with the knowledge and skills they need to thrive, with the knowledge and skills they need not only to keep themselves safe when they're at their scouting programs, but to keep themselves and their loved ones safe in everything that they do. And, you know, I think it's for that reason, and with the deep passion that we have as an organization for the youth entrusted to our care, that we need to strive for a Scouts Canada with a culture where no one gets hurt. With a culture where, because we care, we want to share, and we want to make sure that when things do happen, that we learn from them, and we make sure that they don't happen again. We share those learnings not just with our volunteers and our staff, but also with our youth so that they can learn and that they can be safe. And I think if we can truly achieve that, we will position ourselves to be true safety leaders, and we will have a place in Canadian society that is extremely relevant.
Yep. Building our brand. I need to start out by saying that this is not about advertising. This is not about semi-hilarious TV commercials involving knots and swimming trunks. This is about so much more than that. Building our brand is something every single person in this room and every single member across our country has a role to play in. This isn't just about what people see on a billboard or on TV. This is about what people think when they think Scouts. We all have a role to play in making sure that we are living our brand and passionately delivering our program and delivering on our mission to develop well-rounded youth, better prepared for success in the world. We need to be what we say we are. When we say, I don't know if you ever got an email from me, lucky you, at the bottom of my email, it says, Scouts is the start of something great. It starts with Scouts, and people need to think that. Once upon a time, someone did a really great job building a brand for Scouts that involved a little old lady in a street, okay? That's not the brand we're building today. We don't want people to think like, oh yes, you know, Boy Scouts, those guys with the little old ladies and the good turns and things. And although good turns are a great part, we want people to start thinking, Scouts, that's where kids get great adventures and make friends and have experience that they would never have elsewhere. We need to make sure that it's not just us who knows this. We need to make sure that we are building our brand, living our brand, and carrying that message to all of the other people in Canadian society and around the world. Parents, other NGOs, any other stakeholder that you can think of, sponsors, the people in your community, so many more people. Everyone needs to be able to think about adventure, about fun, about unique experiences when they talk about Scouts.
So we've talked to you about and the 7 strategies, and I think they're really tremendous, and they're positioning us to be bigger and more vibrant than we've ever been before. We're focused on program relevance, making sure that our volunteers and our staff are supported, engaged, and most of all, and most importantly, having fun. Making sure that parents understand the value of scouting for their young people. Making sure we have the resources truly to deliver tremendous scouting adventures. Making sure that those amazing properties we have aren't just pieces of dirt, but that they have people on them that are passionate about scouting adventures. Making sure that we are truly leaders when it comes to safety. And making sure that we live the brand. Like Kaylee said, when we say it starts with Scouts, it needs to start with Scouts. And that starts with us in this room, sharing that message internally, sharing that excitement, sharing that passion for growing scouting through great scouting adventures. So, we're going to spend some time in our workshops today sharing with you some ideas and hopefully receiving your ideas as to how we start to get the ball rolling. This isn't about, and you're going to hear this in your workshops, this isn't about what we do in 6 months or 9 months or 12 months. I'm excited because this is stuff we can start doing tomorrow. There's so much in here we can take away from this room and go back to our groups, our areas, and councils and start doing tomorrow. And you know what? There's 6 months left in this scouting year. There's 6 months left for more young Canadians to have great, safe scouting adventures. And I hope that you're going to go back filled up, with your vessel full, as our brand consultant would have told you, with ideas, and that you're going to be able to use those ideas to bring more great, safe scouting adventures to young Canadians. And why is this important, you ask? Well, just share with you some thoughts from some parents of young people in our program. Both of my sons had a great time at Beavers and Scouts. They got to do things with their leaders and their groups that they never in a million years would have got to do at home. What a tremendous message. That is what Scouts is all about. That is why people feel that there's value in being engaged with us as a movement. Oh,
Sorry.
that's okay. I feel happy knowing that he is learning things he can build on all the time and each year. More doors will be open to him because of that. He is learning to appreciate our world and all it has to teach us and offer. And what a compelling message about what it is that we're trying to achieve as a team, as One Scouts Canada. So as I think about that, why am I so convinced that we can be bigger and more vibrant than ever before? We have a team of over 28,000 people that can help us on this journey. You know what? It's a cast large enough to run Disneyland. We can do this, guys. It's a cast large enough to run Disneyland. You know what? If each and every one of us put our energy behind this, we have enough power in our team to lift over 2,000 tons. That's the equivalent of 345 elephants. That's an awful lot of power. You know what? Each of us in our daily walk, and Laura, I didn't even pay you, but you said it anyway. We walk a certain number of steps. And if we put our 28,000 people together, we walk over 183,000 kilometers every day. That's enough to get all the way around the world 4.5 times. But you know what? It's not just those 28,000 people we have on our team. It's the 100,000 people that Jay talked about. And all of those people pulling together, using that same energy that they do, just in their day-to-day walking, folks, just in their day-to-day walking, is enough to walk all the way past the moon. That's pretty tremendous. And when I think about that, and when I think about what Pinball talked about yesterday, I say, we have a vision. We're talking about it here today. We want to be bigger and more vibrant than ever before. We want things to start with Scouts. We want more young Canadians to have great, safe scouting adventures. I know we have the energy. I just talked to you about how, just in our mundane daily lives, we have tremendous energy and potential. And I've already seen the passion in this room this weekend, whether it was at the campfire, and I've heard about what was going on at the skating rink, and I saw it yesterday building those tremendous bridges. I know we have passion in this room to do this. And I know when we combine all of those things together, that we can, not only can we will be One Scouts Canada growing together. Thanks, guys. I'll call you and you can call up the team. I'll call you, you can call up the team. Well, yeah, I'm a bit humbled by the applause, but realistically, I'm sure the team were up here that as well. There's a bigger team, as Jay alluded to, that was behind this work, and they've done a tremendous job of being really focused. And I think it's that focus and that effort that's going to position us with the right vision for the future. So I'd like to invite Jay as the team lead to come up and bring up the team so that we can do what we need to do in this organization a little bit more and say thank you.
So just like to call up everybody that was on the core team. So Eric Schmidt, Jennifer Neary, Linda Rainbow, Neil Rice, Norm Williams, Adam Benson, and Steve Kent, if you guys could come up, please. Those of you that are here.
That's Adam. That's Adam.
This is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief.
This is Linda's.
Yeah, keep moving along. Thanks so much, Eric.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
This one's for you. Thank
Oh,
you.
wow.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you,
Jay.
Kaylee. Thanks for making it awkward.
Thanks so much, Jennifer.
Thanks very much.
So, folks, can we have a round of applause for this team of tremendous scouters? What? Thanks again, everybody.